Okay, so nothing happened this weekend.
Nope.
Matthew, unfortunately, though, is no longer with us on this podcast. Um, and by no longer with us, I mean not with us this week because he is out doing
No,
competitive.
Matt died.
Should that be the title this week?
Matthew died? Question mark.
Just like Kyle Larson's hopes of winning at Darlington last weekend.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Oh, he won it Xfinity though.
Well, yeah. Woo!
Hmm.
Probably shouldn't have won that race, but we can get
The
there.
Fake Racers podcast falls apart.
Things fall apart.
Members die.
You never had to read that book.
Things fall apart. It sounds familiar, but I didn't read that book. No.
It was a book by I forget what country he was from. Like, I forget the author's name too, but it was like a book about like a African village when like colonial settlers were like coming in, like the Brits and stuff, and they're like, "Oi, mate, I want your yams," and
Right. Yeah.
as
That's
British
what they
people
said.
do.
Yeah.
Oi, bruv.
Well, yeah.
Sorry,
That's what they said.
I should have said
What
bruv.
was it? It was like Nigeria or something.
Sounds right.
Mm. Why does that sound so familiar to me? I know I never read that book. Anyway, who
Things
cares?
fall
It's
apart.
books. Books are for losers and people who want to be smart, and we don't want to be smart. We just want to be big moron idiots and say a bunch of dumb stuff about
Big
racing.
moron
Isn't
idiots.
that right?
Big moron idiots. That's us, Fake Racers Podcast, Big Idiots Podcast. I'm Davey Hazard,
I'm Joe Twinsky.
and again, Matthew Steelman not with us tonight.
If you're new here, I'm actually Davey Hazard.
And
He's
I'm actually Joe Twinsky.
We're playing a funny prank on you.
Hello and welcome, folks. My name is Jeff Gordon.
Wow, 7-time champion.
That clip, more than that.
Yeah.
Do we want to just get right into it? Have we dilly-dallied enough?
We've dilly-dallied.
This one's got a retro feel to it.
Let's dally.
This one's got a retro feel to it.
It's throwback weekend.
Back when we didn't know what we were doing. Not that we know now, but...
Right, exactly.
William Byron won.
Who cares?
Nobody's liking. He's here.
It's I'm assuming he has like some fans, right?
But he's a Hendrick driver, so yeah.
When William Byron wins, I think the collective NASCAR community is just like, where are we at next week? Like it's like okay, whatever.
That's the thing with the HMS guys, right? Like, it resurfaced this week that they're all boring. Well, 3 of them are, and one of them's a little out there, but he's not racing right now, anyways.
Yeah.
But like Kyle Larson, of course, has his fan base because of dirt things.
Yeah.
Chase Elliott's got his fan base from his dad and Dale Jr.
Right.
William Byron's just in the 24 question mark.
Yeah, he's
because like Chase took a lot of those Jeff Gordon fans too.
William Byron's like, if I was seasoning, I'd be flour. You know what I mean? So,
which is okay. He likes candles. I always remember that about him. He's a big candle guy.
Good for him.
It's like something you put on a dating app profile. I like candles.
I feel like William Byron is like shielded from the media. Like how Riley, how we always joke about Riley Herbst being like
generic race car guy,
generic race car driver. They saw that William Byron was that, and they're like, "Don't say a word. Don't say anything. You're not allowed to do anything. You don't say words. You go outside and you say thank the sponsors. You say you had a good day, and you go back inside." Like they don't let him do that because they know that he's just Riley Herbst with a little bit more talent.
And a little like he's got. So like that's the thing. Like he's at least got like some like in his interviews. Like, he's got emotions, right?
But they don't feel real. They're like...
shucks.
They're like the Hendrick PR agent said, like, okay, now act like you're excited.
Well...
You're disappointed this week.
You're mad that you finished 6th. Get angry.
But, he's good at Darlington, so that's good for him.
Yeah, he got a win that kind of got... not stolen from him last year, but taken away at least.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think that was the story that a lot of people are starting to run with there after we saw the finish of that race, which we'll get to in a second. But first, but wait, there's more before that. Truex Jr. looked like the dominant car early on in that race. Won stage
Until he
one.
wasn't.
Was the dominant car until he wasn't. That is right. That is right, Davey. Because all of a sudden Ross Chastain was like, "See ya, sucker."
Mm-hmm.
And then Ross Chastain decided to try to be a good teammate and stayed behind Daniel Suarez for way too long.
And it was noticeable. I was wondering, like, because I don't think the booth brought it up, and I was watching it, and I was like, "This is clearly what's happening." They're like, "Yeah, it just seems like he's stalled out behind his teammate," and I'm like, "Weird how that happened. I wonder why."
His teammate.
I wonder like why that happened. I'm like, I'm like looking at Clint Boyer, like, yeah, I wonder why that happened.
Well, no one ever accused Clint Boyer or Carl Edwards for that matter, because it was stage 2 of being all that smart. So,
True.
But
anyway, Martin Truex Jr. was fast until he wasn't.
Yeah.
And then he really wasn't fast at the end of stage 3. When he
was
did
wrecked.
whatever he did.
Well, the end of stage 2 is weird because, like, he made that big move on Ross going into 3 on the last lap, right, of the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, Ross goes down to block, which we all know that's going to happen.
Exactly.
We all know. Like, I don't know why people were, like, surprised by that.
Yeah.
And Truex just absolutely messed it up and wrecked himself.
Yeah. And it's like...
And still got a top 10 finish in the stage.
This is a theme that will continue later on as well when we talk about more stuff. It's like, well, like, what did you expect then to happen? Have you been paying attention? Like, all the evidence has been there for you. You just decided to ignore it. You know? Which I say this often, and this is not like a dig at Truex per se, but like Truex does not have racecraft, so it makes sense that he would do something like that. His tracks. Again, he was the fastest car until he wasn't. And then he tries to be the fastest car when he's not. And he gets contact with Ross. And then he tries to do it again in stage 3. And he ends up nose into the wall, sliding down the racetrack. Because I don't know what happened in that one. It looks like he just missed it.
Mm-hmm.
In the one of the late race restarts. The one where he wrecked with Logano and the big one. Like, I have no idea. Like, that was weird. Like, with the one that we're going to talk about next, probably, like, you kind of, like, have reasons for it. Truex just kind of sent it and missed.
Yeah.
It was interesting, to say the least.
Interesting.
Very.
Interesting. It was a real thinker, that one. Real thinker.
Bro was the thinker.
But Truex 19 team, they're starting to figure things out, it feels like, with this next gen car. Toyota as a whole is kind of under the radar because they have like 4 of the top 6 in points right now.
Yeah.
Something crazy with the 11, the 20, the 19, and the 45.
And even in terms of like speed recently in general, like
yeah.
Denny's been fast. Denny was fast at Darlington too, but I think they had like some sort of thing.
They were just behind all day.
Yeah.
Bubba was fast, but they had a penalty. So. Yeah. But the real story of the weekend, of course, is Ross Chastain and continuing to do weird stuff and be a great for TV guy. Great for TV guy.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Everyone, I mean, if you're listening to this, you saw it. Everyone saw it. On that next restart after the Truex thing, which took up all the attention, which is important to note, took up all the attention of everything that happened on that restart. Truex goes for a pretty ambitious move, bouncing off the side of the 5 car. Does the exact same thing Martin Truex Jr. did. Ends up nosed in the wall, sliding down the racetrack.
Chastain.
Chastain. Sorry, excuse me. He got pushed like a quarter of the way around the racetrack, which was quite funny.
It was a nice touch.
It was a nice touch. It was it was funny. Did you hear the spotter radio?
He's still pushing you.
Still pushing you. Still pushing you. It's very funny. It's on Twitter if you gotta look that up. But something that like everyone saw that accident face value, and like everyone was extremely mad at Ross Chastain, like, oh, you can't keep doing this. This is just tearing up equipment. What a clown! Wow. And then you have Cliff Daniels on the radio, who I understand has to ride or die for his driver, but it's kind of like, excuse me, kind of raging out for Kyle, like, Chevrolet, this is a joke. Chevrolet, it's a joke. Chevrolet, he's wrecking us. I'm telling on him. It was kind of like weird, in my opinion, because if that wreck didn't happen with Truex on the previous restart, everyone would be suddenly aware that Kyle Larson walled the hell out of Ross Chastain. And Ross was just trying to get even, and he misjudged it. Don't get me wrong. Still made a mistake and ended up wrecking him, and people will be like, well, that's why Kyle Larson's such a good driver. He didn't wreck everybody. Well, he damn well could have. It really wasn't that far different. You know what I mean? But again, Ross Chastain, everything's Ross Chastain's fault. Blame it on Ross Chastain. I think people are blowing up for no reason. There's like all this discourse now about Ross Chastain. Like, oh, he's gotta get a handle on him.
Can't win.
He can't. Oh my god! My favorite NASCAR fan thing right now, and I said this in the Discord, and I wanted to tweet it, but I didn't. My favorite NASCAR fan thing right now is one person on Twitter last week brought up how Ross Chastain hadn't won in a year, and everyone decided to be like, "Oh well, Ross Chastain doesn't win nearly enough." You see that stat where he hasn't won in a year? You see that? You see how he hasn't won in a year? He just needs to win more if he wants to race like that. While he is coming off a season where he was in the Final Four in points and is currently leading the points in the Cup Series right now, as if he's not performing probably the best of the best and is one of the top Chevy teams in the sport. Like, it's just weird. The discourse on Kyle Larson Ross Chastain. They're both the damn same. That's why everyone's mad. The discourse is weird. It's just weird.
They are the same.
They are. They'll put you in compromising positions to save themselves.
Well, do you remember when Kyle Larson couldn't win, and he couldn't win, and he couldn't win, and then finally he won, and it was like, okay, he won, and then the next year he won, and it's like, okay, you're driving Ganassi stuff. That's cool. You can win at 2-mile tracks. Great.
Yeah.
Like, the talent's there. Like, to just try to say, like, discount the talent is crazy. Because we are in a time period right now where there is so much parity among the field that I think being consistent means more than it ever did. Even though if the format doesn't allow for that. And like you said, the big thing is the Truex really saved Larson's keister, right? Like, that Truex wreck doesn't happen. I think we're talking more about Kyle Larson dooring Ross into the fence. And okay, well now he's even with him for the Dover incident, I guess. That is somehow the end of the world and the worst thing that Ross has ever done.
Yeah, it's really weird how people are being like, Ross Chastain wrecked us out of Dover. What are you talking about?
No, you wrecked yourself out of Dover when you decided to mash the gas to go around a car that was coming up the hill.
And also, like, it was a thing that he didn't mean to do, and you got caught up in an act. That's like trying to say, like, Derek Cope wrecked Noah Gragson out at Homestead. Yeah, it was certainly, like, unfortunate, but he didn't, like, it's not like anyone did anything explicitly wrong. It was just, like, circumstances. And then you have Cliff Daniels, like, 3 weeks in a row now. It's like, bro, what are you talking about? I don't get it. And then Rick Hendrick. Oh,
okay, wait. I need to say a piece. Go ahead. Kyle Larson, if he was in the same shoes as Ross Chastain, makes the same moves, which you said. He has done the same thing. He wrecked his godforsaken teammate last year to win. Are we forgetting about that now?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's right, because it's convenient.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. It's convenient to forget about him wrecking Chase at Watkins Glen. Forgot about that. And, you know, it's just, it's so frustrating because Trackhouse's rise has been so much about Ross, right? Suarez has been doing better than he did his first year, and this year is maybe a little lackluster compared to last. But Trackhouse's rise has really been the key figure, and that has been Ross Chastain. And the fact that now we're at a position where that one team, they're with the Hendrick cars every week, and all of a sudden, which I'm going to transition over to you, Davey, all of a sudden Hendrick has a problem with Ross Chastain.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Huh.
It's weird, right? Weird how that's happening. Suddenly there's a little bit of a contender at the top with his manufacturer stuff, and Rick Hendrick wants to get all too big for his britches about it. Like I don't. Again, it's just like, and it's not weird given the evidence that you just gave, right? But it's weird. Like it's not like
it's not normal.
It was just not. Yeah, it was very not normal. It was like an out of character thing. I guess if you look at it a certain way, it kind of is in character. If you look at it another way, I don't know. I just get really skeevy vibes from the whole piling on Ross from Hendrick Motorsports.
How is he going to win a championship if he's got all these enemies in the playoffs? I don't know. How did he make it to the Final Four last year?
Yeah, exactly. He's got like what, 2 more enemies this year than he did last year, and
apparently
people are wondering how he's going to win the championship.
Too.
Yeah, yeah.
The only guy that actually did anything to him is okay with him now. Crazy.
Yeah. Again, it is disproportionately like skewed towards Hendrick, and people are just going nuts because it's Hendrick drivers. I mean, we're seeing it so clearly now. Like the Hendrick, like I don't want to say pull, because I wouldn't say that they're pulling anything in one direction or another, but like as far as the sorry, I'm working through a toothache. We didn't establish that at the beginning of the show, so it's a little bit of a struggle, even though I have so much to say. It's tough to watch something as exciting as Ross Chastain, as someone who's exciting as Ross Chastain, get neutered by competition that can't seem to handle the fact that they are getting outran by him. And there's some points that have been made that I agree with in the past week, that, you know, like Jesse Love was on Door Bumper Clear, and he actually had some really mature things to say. I was actually very surprised. I kind of like ended up liking Jesse Love after his appearance on the show. He said some really mature things about how Ross, like, you know, he has the talent to where he doesn't have to do that all the time. And I think that's a fair point, but also I think that Ross Chastain has been doing that less. It's just he's had a couple of dust-ups that have included high-profile drivers. One of them wasn't even noticed until that driver, and I say high-profile, I mean that loosely in the Cup Series, like until that driver walked up and tried to mess with him and got punched in the face. And the other one is just Kyle Larson. So even that argument, while I think there's merit to it, is just like recency bias, Hendrick bias. Like, we're just looking at it through a lens that is just painting Ross as like not just like the villain of the sport, which I think he is, and that's good, but like as a genuinely like malicious dude who wants to do these things and wants to be a nuisance. Like, I think that's wrong to paint him like that, because he's, as much as I disagree with some of his racing and some of the things that he does, he is just racing hard, and that's how he got up in the sport. He didn't, you know, he's racing like it's the last race of his life, and I don't always agree with that, but I understand why he does it. And it's unfortunate that high-profile race teams are trying to nudge, wink, wink at Chevy that, like, this is a problem. And then that actually filtering its way over to a race team that's really cool and doing cool things and has drivers that, you know, disrupt. Anyway, I think it's a little lame.
Well, disrupt's a good word for it. Ross Chastain has disrupted the status, because remember a year or two ago even, we were talking about how these lower series, how there's a lack of respect, and I think people like to bring up the lack of respect thing a lot. But like I don't think I've ever seen Ross Chastain flat out just wreck somebody, hook someone into the wall, or you know what I mean? Like, I can't think, like, yeah, okay, he bumped AJ out of the way, or Bowman out of the way, and it wrecked AJ, but that wasn't like oh, I'm gonna wreck you so I can win. That was, I'm gonna move you out of the way, and I just moved you a little too hard. This past weekend, he didn't go into that corner saying, all right, I'm gonna wreck Kyle Larson here. He went into that corner saying, I'm gonna give him no room because he gave me no room. And he never gives anyone room. Right? Like, you know, he didn't go into those races last year with Denny or into that Phoenix restart with Chase and go, I'm gonna wreck the 9 car. I'm gonna wreck the 11 car.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And not that I don't, but we've seen other race car drivers go in with that, and we applaud it sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you went in there and you did what you had to do.
I mean, if you really want to get technical about it, Kyle Larson has clearly intentionally wrecked people more than I think Ross has.
I think Justin Haley last year in the Clash.
That one was bad too. And if you want to, this was a long time ago, but the Battle of the Beach thing was pretty bad.
That was pretty bad.
That one was like pretty bad. I think
that one doesn't count anymore though.
I feel like that one was bad enough to where like he didn't do it for a while after that. I feel like that one was bad enough. Someone got like their hands on him, and maybe they like not saying like a fight, but they were like, "Hey, don't do that. SHIT." Like that's BS. Because he wrecked the hell out of that. I forget who it was, but anyway.
But it's I have on here, how do we idiot proof the garage? I don't even know if that's possible. But just kind of, again, going along what we've been talking about, seems like there's a lot of people that don't understand that there's a difference between intentionally wrecking somebody and racing somebody hard and making a mistake. That's really frustrating.
Yeah, I think the problem is in public opinion, it gets painted as the same thing.
Yeah.
There's the same amount of outrage per incident.
So, I mean, you could say Kyle Larson intentionally wrecked Ross Chastain. I mean, he pulled off the wall, too. I mean, if you watch that video, I don't know if that's I can't tell you if it's the line or not, but he comes off the wall, right? Hey, they make contact. He's wrecking me. I'm okay. I'm gonna finish the job, right? I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying.
I get it.
There's a big one at Darlington down the back straightaway. Took out a bunch of guys. Just wanted to mention it because it's the second year in a row we had a big one off of turn 2 at Darlington.
Darlington's a cool track.
Darlington is a cool track.
Cool things like that happen at it. Not that I love wrecks or anything, but the fact that I don't know, it's just oh man.
Forgot to mention too, Justin Marks had some really weird comments about trying to like rein Ross Chastain in on Monday. I have a feeling someone at Chevy did talk to Justin Marks.
I was kind of trying to allude to that too, but
it was weird.
I wouldn't be surprised. It was weird. I wouldn't be surprised if it was just Justin Marks playing damage control for the media. He's a smart guy.
Why? Like, embrace it. Ross Chastain last week, he was on the Pat McAfee show. I know you don't know what that is, but very, very big sports show, YouTube. Very big deal to be on that show, right? You get a lot of eyeballs on that show. NASCAR drivers have only been on that show. There's only 2 other drivers that were on it. Chase Elliott was on it a few weeks ago, before Martinsville, because I'm sure NASCAR pulled some strings and probably paid some money to get him on there. And I think Ty Dillon was on it one time and absolutely flopped. It was kind of funny.
Yeah,
didn't make sense. It wasn't a good fit, right? But like, dude, on this show last week, Ross Chastain was entertaining. It took him a while to get out of his shell, but he got out of his shell. You know, he kind of understood the show. And things like that, going out there and showing personality on shows like that is important for the sport, and to try to neuter drivers that are willing to do that and help grow the sport. And I think I forget who I've heard say it, but Ross is more than willing to be someone that helps grow the sport. I forget what the words that were used. To try to go out there and neuter that is stupid. Very stupid. At a time where you're struggling for fans, where your most popular driver was out for a few weeks and your ratings took a huge dip. Like, crazy. Don't do that. Moving on, Xfinity Series. Kyle Larson won that race. Rode the wall in turns 3 and 4. Wrecked John Hunter because he came off the wall.
Bit of a reach. I won't put that so
no,
much on
it's a
Larson,
reach. But if it was Ross Chastain,
but
is that fair?
yeah, I guess I get it. There's people would probably focus more on like because Larson walled JHN in 3,
Yeah.
like on corner entry. I mean, taking away all of the taking away like who's there, like blah blah, all the comparisons and stuff was at the end of the day pretty fair racing.
Yeah.
They both try to get at each other. I feel like John Hunter could have misjudged a little bit because I think when he nipped Kyle Larson's quarter panel and hooked them both kind of up to the fence, that was over. That was it for him. Where I feel like if he maybe burped up a little bit and hit him square in the rear end instead of getting to the quarter panel, he probably could have just snuck his way around him. But anyway, it was really good racing. Darlington Xfinity never disappoints.
They had a big one too in turn 3 and 4. That thing was crazy. Took out like half the field. Wild. Arlington, the new home of the big one.
Correct.
Christian Eckes outlasted a charge from William Byron in the Truck Series race to eke home a win. Completely forgot about it when I was writing our show sheet this week that Eckes won that race. But that's his second win of the year for McAnally's team. Have to think that he's well, I know, but I have to think that he's probably one of the championship favorites down there with Zane and someone else. I don't know.
Maybe I'll watch a Truck Series one day.
And just again, late race restarts in the Truck Series are always wild. IndyCar GP or Indy GP for IndyCar, Alex Palou won. Ganassi was really quick today in first round of Indy 500 practice for qualifying this weekend. Do we care?
We are qualifying this weekend.
Yeah.
We care. I just haven't kept up with it.
This is usually where we talk about go watch Indy 500 qualifying. But we've done that a couple years now, so I don't think go back and watch last year's episode from this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agree.
Not really any other news this week. This is gonna be a short episode.
North Wilkesboro is pretty cool.
North Wilkesboro is pretty cool, and we're going there.
We are. We're there right now, some of them.
Cars Tour is there right now. A bunch of Cup guys.
I've had it on the other screen.
Ah, lucky dog. You got Flow?
Nah, Twitch. Someone is illegally streaming it.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
Hey, I'm only illegally consuming. I can't get
Don't
in trouble
implicate. JTN does not condone the use of streams.
JTN does not condone it, but I certainly do.
Okay, all right. Truck Series is Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern time on Fox.
Gnarly.
Big Fox. Who you got? Bubba Wallace is in that race. Maybe Kyle Busch is in the 51, or William Byron's in the 51. Kyle Larson's in the 7.
I'll go to J-Ski.
I'm gonna take Grant Enfinger because I think him winning would be cool. Because he'd be like, man. "Oh shucks, man."
Grant Enfinger. That's Eric Jones in the 60s? I'm gonna go Eric. No, what?
Definitely not Eric Jones.
It just said 66 Jones. Why would that be notable? We'll go Bubba Wallace. Why not?
Bubba Wallace, number 1 for Tricon Garage. And then Cup Series, All-Star Race. Who you got transferring from the Open?
How many transfer from the Open?
Top 2, and then the fan vote. So top 2 in the Open.
It'll probably be like Josh Berry and
Ryan Preece.
Ryan Preece is a good shout. I'll go Berry and Preece getting through. And then damn, who is gonna win the damn fan vote?
Noah
or Dinger?
Yeah.
Well, Ty Gibbs has a lot. Ty Gibbs has a shocking amount of fans.
That's right. Ty Gibbs is in that race. Ty Gibbs might actually transfer in.
Yeah, he was on the verge of being picked by me just now, but
Forgot about that. He's not in that race. Kind of forget that Ty Gibbs exists most weeks, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm going to go,
Happens.
I think Ryan Preece and I guess Ty Gibbs. I think Barry might struggle just with it being a cup car and
That's fair.
they don't have nobody has a notebook.
That's fair. I just think a team like Hendrick will be more
Oh,
well
yeah.
prepared than
Probably.
other race teams.
It will be interesting too because the fan vote. So like Barry isn't eligible for the fan vote because he didn't run the 500. Ryan Newman just isn't in the All-Star race, even though he's a former All-Star race winner, because he's not full time or something. Wish Jimmy Johnson was running. Feel like that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it'd been cool, but they would have ran like SHIT. So
Yeah. But who do you have winning the All-Star race itself?
man, that's a tough one because this is like such a oddball short track. I'll go for a vote. I'll go for a driver that I think is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a fun storyline. Bubba Wallace.
That would be insane.
I think Bubba Wallace. They're getting hot right now. So he was getting hot like we talked about. Wouldn't put it past him.
All right, so since you took Bubba for both races,
Correct.
and we have the 23 picked for both races so far, and Bubba's in the 1 for trucks, I'm going to take Ross Chastain. Because that makes my brain feel good that we picked the 23 and 1 both races.
That's pretty good. Makes my brain feel good.
Hell yeah.
Mm.
But that's this week's Fake Racers podcast. It's a short one, folks.
Thank God. My mouth hurts.
But as always, we cannot thank you enough for tuning in this week. Make sure if you haven't already, drop a like on the video, subscribe. Great numbers last week. Have to think that's because of the thumbnail, so thank you.
Thumbnail was good.
Thumbnail was good. Oh, bam. Remember, you can follow us at Fake Racers on Twitter to stay up to date. Davey makes our posts, and I'm just gonna.
I try.
Davey needs to just switch over anytime he makes any NASCAR take to the Fake Racers account, because apparently that's okay to just use an anonymous account and post your hot takes about racing and then not have any repercussions for it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I should do that.
You should do that.
I should just start saying stuff.
Yeah. Jeff Gordon is.
I actually might.
Jeff Gordon shouldn't even have 4 championships. Put that on there. Interactions through the roof.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. Just say stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
That's what most of those accounts do anyways.
Sorry, I wanted to give us a powerful pause.
The freedom.
You gotta be able to laugh. Hey, at least I'm not a Keselowski fan.
Ha 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 ha. That was kind of weird that he just randomly went off on that one beer person.
Yeah.
That one was weird. I was like,
Yeah, at least mine wasn't that bad.
no, I mean yours is pretty bad because yours is like, we now have confirmation that your driver is a full on Tesla bro.
The only solace I take is that other posts about things that I care about don't follow that template. And that's what I'll take to the bank right now.
Fair enough. Remember, folks, you can follow Davey at Davey Hazard, at D7H5, at D7H5er. Everything's linked down below. Matt's links are also down below, as Davey pointed upwards towards the sky. In the YouTube, you can follow Jimmy Johnson at Jimmy Johnson.
Correct.
And then at Johto Network for literally everything else. Right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, Twitter. Yeah, got great racing coming up. NR 2003
Damn
racing.
Skippy.
And we will see you guys next week for a normal sized length edition of the Fake Racers podcast.
And my mouth will be better, I think.